What's up, guys? Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1.
And we're back at it to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater
WAAAGH.
And this time, Gersh is going to let you know what you got to do so that we can answer your questions.
So this is a video series where you guys ask us questions about Warhammer 40K and we answer them to the best of our ability. You can put question in front of your question because we get to those first. So again, ask away, guys. This question comes from Sergeant Spliff. Do you think there's a way the Chaos Gods could be destroyed?
Ooh.
Bum bum bum. Hell to the yeah.
Say what?
So the way that a Chaos God can be destroyed is another Chaos God destroys him. Slaanesh just pulled down the pants of all the Eldar gods and just wiped them all clean. Smash and grab, if you guys know what I'm talking about. So that's a possibility that could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has been talking about how GW wants to get rid of Slaanesh because of what it represents and how they're catering more towards a larger demographic.
Right.
So Slaanesh represents big booties and money and wealth. In a way, it's kind of like a hip-hop music video, all built into one god.
Mm-hmm.
But the possibility of her destruction can come about in many ways. Especially now that Ined, the Eldar god of death and rebirth, right?
Yep.
Now that he or she is walking around, her and her followers, or him and the followers, can align themselves with Tzeentch, Khorne, or Nurgle and get rid of Slaanesh. Because who doesn't want more, leg room inside the warp that doesn't have time or space?
Right.
So is there a way? Yes. Is GW gonna do it? Possibly. Yeah. It would not surprise me if like tomorrow we found out that Demonettes and Slaanesh are no more.
I mean, they'll probably make it so that, you could still keep your army and play it. But, like, lore-wise, they're forever gone.
Yeah. Because who plays Slaanesh for real, though?
I haven't seen anybody play Slaanesh.
Yeah. Good question, though. Next question.
This one is by John Dawson. What do you think will happen to the World... Wait. What do you think will happen to the World Eater Legion? Are they existing on borrowed time as small warbands since Karn and his betrayal? And the effects of the Butcher's Nails? Or do you think they'll come together once again as an actual legion? So yeah, the Word Bearers, they've got the Butcher's Nails, which that already means, they're gonna die, because it's gonna end up killing them sooner or later. Angron was supposed to die, so that's why Lorgar took Angron to that one planet so he could save him, but in reality he just saved him by making him become a demon prince. So all the other Marines that do have the Butcher's Nails in them, they will die, and they're going to slowly go crazy, and their minds are going to deteriorate. So they are a lost legion, unless they do get possessed by, warp demons, or, I don't know, Fabius Bile messes with them.
Yep. This question comes from Leo Bibi. Are you sure a Space Marine can't die of old age? Because I've seen the contrary stated on many forums. Well, what forums are you looking at? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. So you have... what's his name? With the Blood Angels.
Oh, Dante?
Yeah, Dante walking around doing his thing for a while. And, there's no reason for them to die, I guess, right?
Oh, I just remembered. I remembered somewhere that there was a salamander. I think it was a salamander captain who his ship, went through the warp and all his buddies died. And he was the last one remaining, and he got spit out. But when he got spit out of the warp, his ship had no energy, so it was basically just floating for, bunch of years, thousands of years. So he had nothing to eat. So his body just metabolized itself so efficiently where he wouldn't need to eat or anything like that. So when he was actually finally found thousands of years later, he was literally like a husk of a space marine. He was still alive, but his muscles were all atrophied. He was basically like a skeleton. So I don't know if that means if it would have gone on longer, would he have died? Or is that just the state where they're going to be in? So I don't know about that, guys, but that was something that I read. So.
Yeah. But in that situation, you just like spray them with a little bit of water and he absorbs it and comes back to life. Next question.
This one's by Dragon Punch. Can we get an Orc versus Tau battle report once 8th drops? We need to know how these Xenos armies are after the new rules.
Of course. We're going to try our best to do that and bring you some awesome battle reports.
Awesome.
Torlanos. He has 2 questions. If you could go into Warhammer 40K and punch any being, Abaddon, Night Hunter, or group, the Hive Mind, Ethereals, who would you punch? He's punching the High Lords of Terra.
It's a good choice.
Yeah. Who would I punch?
I would punch the Hive Mind, because that's like punching a thought, an unphysical thing.
Yes. I would punch Slanesh.
You'd probably like that.
Yeah. And then the second question, would it be possible to make a series of smaller Astronomicons? It could make stress. It could take stress off of the Golden Throne and extend the range of human space. So the Astronomicon itself is a creation by man, but it still needs power, and that power comes from only the Emperor. So even if you build a whole bunch of little ones, then that just means you're dispersing his energy throughout the galaxy. Yeah.
This one's by Full Caber. Can I grow my own orcs in my garden? My garden looks pretty dead. Does that count? Orcs are dead.
Yep. You can grow your orcs in your garden.
Just put some spores underground and make sure to water it once every couple of hours. And then you'll get little squigs and then eventually become Gretchen. You gotta pull the Gretchen out. If they look a little, dark green, you gotta put them back in.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's possible.
Yep. Gwyneth Von Thunderthighs. What do you think, or how do you think the Silent King will unite the Necrons and use Tyranids to become flesh if he burns out his command ship? Also, why would he do that? ? He says, now the Necrons don't have an ultimate command routine, so how can they really win the war? So how do you think the Silent King will unite the Necrons? And I mean, I don't think they're gonna. I never thought about Necrons using the Tyranids as like a
source of flesh.
Yeah, especially because each one of those Necrons wants their individuality, right? Because that's the purpose of bringing back a soul.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of? There is no individuality within the Tyranids. A Tyranid is one thing.
Yeah, and how do you think the Silent King will actually make this happen? I feel like they're gonna go the route of what they used to be. So he's gonna unite all the dynasties by making them mindless, mindless machines back once again.
Right.
So now that they'll have one purpose, one leader, the Silent King. They'll have the means of doing what they need to do. I think he'll still let his generals, maybe Xandrak and all those guys, still keep their individuality so they could better fight or at least command their own forces. But for the most part, they're probably just going to go back to being mindless robots.
Right, and it's really tough for me to even think of a way that the Necrons can come back, with the Silent King or not, because the lore has set them up in a way where it would take years for them to actually awaken,
Mm-hmm.
and years for them to unite, or decades. But if you really did want to push the lore, if you're creating your own lore, a thing that the Silent King could do is the Silent King could find a repository of necrodermis, and instead of reanimating all the Necrons, he would create a whole new Necron Legion with the power of the shards, and a whole new population. So you could tie in a Tyranid splinter cell that has the hive mind disconnected. So a bunch of hormigons, termagants, a bunch of what is it called? When it's not like part of the hive mind. Non-synaptic creatures.
There you go.
So a bunch of non-synaptic creatures, and put them through the whole, what was it, like a giant furnace thing that creates new Necrons. But these Necrons would be like bestial Necron creatures. That would be badass. But that's going way out of like the story.
That's some fanfic stuff right there.
Yeah. Next question.
This one's by All Might. What's a good use for these templates since they're getting rid of them in 8th edition?
Frisbees.
Yeah. Spoons with your flamer templates.
Yep, just melt the center a little bit and push down. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Cup holders.
Next question comes from Zeldurak. How did Kurz leave McCrag? My favorite sci-fi movie I love would be Wing Commander. I'll check it out. Until they do a movie on GW book Execution Hour, which tells of the Lord Solar, Mercurius? So how did Kurz leave McCrag?
I don't know, because everything I've read about that kind of skips over it. I know how he got into it, but how he left, I don't know. Warp storms, he got picked up in a yellow Lamborghini.
Uber.
He called an Uber.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Mr. Squints, do you guys think any other Talcast will take the reins of the ruling class over the Ethereals? Maybe the Firecast? I think their best bet would probably be the Water Cast, since they're like the diplomats and all that, so they know how to like handle things.
Or it might be like a combination of all of them finally actual, like, greater good ideology.
Have a council of the castes.
Yeah, not a totalitarian bullshit that they are. Anyways, the Livid. Is there an Imperium, Eldar, or Tau that are actually devoted to worshipping the Emperor without being spies? No. Who are the worst torturers? Dark Eldar.
Dark Eldar.
Night Lord with Conrad present, or the Dark Eldar? Dark Eldar.
Dark Eldar.
Next question.
This one's by Luke Kelly. Do you think that the first founding chapter will get something when their Primarch returns, like the new Ultramarines from Reboot?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So if like Lehman Russ came back, he'd probably come back with like the 13th Company. If Vulcan comes back, he'll probably come back with some other dudes or something. But I think that'll happen.
Yep. Inquisitor Rook. Since warp entities are physical representations on emotions and beliefs, could today's religious deities, such as God, Allah, or the Hindu gods, be considered or represented by the warp entities? Yeah, that's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to remember, the Imperium stopped believing in the gods of old, even before the Dark Age, or the height of the Dark Age of technology. Because once more people get educated, you start to rely more on primordial truth than
belief.
Yeah. So yeah, you could probably see, like, what is it, Ganesh? The elephant one.
Mm-hmm.
That would look cool. But not many people are probably Hindi. Is that what they call them?
I believe so.
Yeah. Question from Byron Watkins. Are there Chaos Chaplains?
Because chaplains are supposed to be like the
ones telling them not to turn to chaos.
Yeah.
So is there people saying don't turn to the greater, or to the Emperor?
I think so. Because I mean, if you could, if you could make a Crozius Arcanum become like chaosly tainted, then I'm pretty sure a chaplain would also.
Yeah, he'd probably become more of a sorcerer, and he'll be more. What's the word? Like, he wouldn't really care about his team. He would care about succeeding, or he would care about like bringing in people into his team to appease his god, maybe. But I don't think there's any like unit like that.
Yeah, probably not. Lawrence Duarte, who would win in a fight, 50 guys with baseball bats or a T-Rex. The 50 guys get 1 hour to devise a plan, and they really want to fight this T-Rex. They won't want to run away from it. Alright, 50 dudes with a bat.
50 dudes sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
But a T-Rex is huge. So let's see. Let's think.
I mean, if they could come up with a good plan, they got it easy. Yeah, I think probably a lot of them are gonna die, but if they could get his legs weakened enough as to where it falls, you just gotta hit him in the head over and over again. But again, are they strong enough to actually do that?
Yeah.
Because the T-Rex has a lot of muscle to it. That's like to put it simply, say you get like 10-year-olds with a bat and you go up against an elephant. Do you think they can do it? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think the possibility is that maybe a guy, like one guy can break the bat and use it like a spear and chuck it at the T-Rex and get their eye poked or whatever. And then somehow the T-Rex dies of infection, but that's not within an hour. Because I don't think, like, even if you were to bring the T-Rex down, I don't think beating it over the head would do much.
Right, you'd probably break the bat.
Because, like, the T-Rex head is probably the size...
It's big.
It's big, yeah. It's a huge head. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd say there's probably a 30% chance that they can do it, and 70% chance that they can't. It all depends on the plan.
I'm gonna go to the Field Museum in the next couple weeks, and I'm gonna look at Sue, which is the Tyrannosaurus Rex carcass bone thingy, and I'm just gonna think, a huge fossil, and I'm just gonna think about everybody around me and what would happen if it came to life and we all had bats. Would we survive?
You should ask your guide that.
I'm gonna ask my guide that. Last question. Do you have one?
Alright. Hunter Wilkes. What if a whole new Space Marine chapter came out of the warp and claimed to be the biological sons of the Emperor?
It wouldn't go well with the High Lords
No,
of Kara.
they'd probably be hunted down. They'd send Inquisitors to test them, make sure they're like not chaos tainted, or if they're...
And because they came from the warp, they'll be like, nah, fuck you. Because, like, there are Space Marines that can't come out of the warp and nobody trusts them. Right. Lysander came out of the warp, and look at how crazy he is now. Yeah. But it took a while for them to, like, trust him.
Yeah, even in the Badab War, the Carcharodons came in to help, and they were still wary, like...
who are you?
Yeah, we haven't seen you guys. Like, what's going on here?
But yeah, those were the questions. Thank you guys so much for sending them our way. If you want your question answered, please comment down below. And that's it. Yeah,
hit us up on all our social media sites. And as always, I'm the Sound Alchemist.
Gersh1.
One Man Syndicate signing out.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping.